Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and the bull market support bands. Let's jump right into the video. So first things first, why do we look at the bull market support bands? Well, in my opinion, I view the bull market support bands as the status quo of what is going on in the markets. You can see typically, as it is in the name, when you are above the Bitcoin bull market support band, as you guessed it, we are in a bull market, and when you are below the Bitcoin bull market support bands, you are in a bear market. The Bitcoin bull market support bands constitute the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA. Let's jump into what's been going on quite recently in the Bitcoin bull market support band. Well, if we zoom in, you can see about a month or so ago, coming on for two months or so now, you can actually see that the 21-week EMA crossed the 20-week SMA. Now, why is this a big idea? What is the big deal with this, and why do we care? Now, first of all, we should know, why did the 21-week EMA cross the 20-week SMA? And it's very simple. The 21-week EMA is the exponential moving average, and simply put, it reacts quicker to price than the 20-week SMA because the exponential moving average weights recent prices more heavy than the previous prices. What does this mean historically? I actually want to jump into the last time we saw something like this towards the end of the video, because it's very, very interesting. I'm going to leave this one till last, and until then we're going to talk about what's happened the last couple of times when once again the 21-week EMA crosses the 20-week SMA. What you'll notice is the last couple of times this happened is right over here in April and right over here in December. What you'll notice is these crosses of the Bitcoin bull market support bands pretty much called the exact top of the double top on the Bitcoin bull market that we've recently been experiencing over in the markets. And what you'll notice is you zoom out and you see the green line crossing the red line, that being the 21-week exponential moving average crossing the 20-week SMA, is normally a sign that we're very bullish. For example, if we take it back a step to where we had this massive capitulation in March of 2020, what happened is we flipped the 21-week EMA over the 20-week SMA. We broke above, we came back down and double back tested the Bitcoin bull market support bands before we went on a massive rally. You can see beautiful tiny cross right here after a back test, and the initial cross was here as we entered a massive run up. And on the inverse, you can see once the, I always forget which one it is, the 21-week exponential moving average crosses the 20-week EMA, or the 20-week SMA rather, you can see it normally always calls the top. Like I said, the 21-week EMA reacts quicker to the price than the 20-week EMA or SMA, so it normally calls these tops in the market when you are running out of momentum and you are about to run over. But what happens to the inverse? Because quite recently, we've seen the red line cross the green line, and we had a massive capitulation. And at this moment in time, we're seeing the red line cross below the green line. Well, the last time the red line crossed below the green line, very interesting, we actually pumped above the Bitcoin bull market support bands. We came back into the bull market support bands to test it as support. We confirmed it as support, and then we went up for our double top. This, however, was while we are in a rally, and what you'll notice is we've pumped very recently in the past couple of months, and this has allowed our EMA to cross the SMA because, like I said, it takes into consideration data points that have happened recently, and it weighs them with a higher value than previous crosses. What I really want to point over is the last time that we topped out in the bear market, or when we topped out of the bull market and we entered the bear market. If we look at what happened, you can see, once again, just like it happened here, once the green line capitulates below the red line, just like it happened here, And just like it happened here, this is when we went on a massive capitulation. And this is why I wanted to save what is happening right now until, you know, this moment in time. What you'll notice is the green line crosses below the red line, and we have a pump or two, and with that pump, just like we've seen here, we had a dead cat bounce, we made a lower high, and then we started capitulating again. The EMA was able to cross the SMA, and after that happened, we very soon capitulated, and once again, you know, the red line crossed below the green line, and then we had a final cross of the green line capitulating below the red line one last time. And what happened the last couple of times this happened? Well, as you can see over here, the last time it's happened to a very dramatic effect, this was the 2020 March capitulation event, and the time before that we had a dramatic cross was coming into the bear market of 2018. So we had a fake out, the EMA was able to break above the SMA because we had a dead cat bounce, and like I said, it takes into consideration data points that are more recent, moreover data points from, you know, the last 20 weeks or so. Once we had this fake out, we then soon came back over, and you'll notice when the green line finally capitulated below the red line, this was the last sign that we were about to have one last mass capitulation before we rolled over, went to our lows. And then I'm going to talk about what we did after that in a second, but what you'll notice at this moment in time is we've already had this fake out where the EMA tried to cross the SMA and then we rolled back down. And now, zooming in, you can see the bands are getting very tight, and they don't normally get this tight without crossing to the downside. So in my opinion, at least, it does seem very plausible that this green line over here is going to capitulate over this red line, and once again we are going to see a bearish cross of the bull market support bands, just like we saw back over here and just like we saw back over here. So what does this mean fundamentally? Because, you know, I said when these normally cross after a dead cat bounce over on the EMA ribbons, this is normally the point in time where you capitulate to lower price targets. But what happens after you capitulate to those lower price targets? And even if we zoom out, you can see, you know, green crosses below red in the absolute capitulation. If we come back to what happened over on the BTC USD price back in 2015, you can see a few times we did have these little runs up where the green was crossing over the red because we were having these bounces, but as we had that final cross to the downside, this was literally where the bottom is before we started running up. What you'll notice is if we take a support box, if I can find the support box, if I find the rectangle here, what you'll notice is coming into the accumulation range at the bottom of the bear market lows for all of these cycles, we normally come down, we find a low, and we trend sideways underneath / in the bull market support bands. But more specifically, we capitulate and we let the bull market support bands come down to us. And when they do come down to us, we trend sideways in them. And once you finally cross them, back test the green line, you always end up entering a massive bull run, just like we did down here after the big capitulation phase, going over into the next cycle. Once again, no surprise, we did the same thing here. You had that last line where the EMA crosses below the SMA, and because of that, we have this mass capitulation, just like we had over here. Now, this was more of a black swan event that came out of nowhere. No one was really expecting it, and this is kind of like a market outlier. So we really didn't do what we did the other couple of times. The other couple of times, we massively capitulated below the bull market support bands, and we trended sideways below the bull market support bands, and then literally the bull market support bands came down to us, and once we broke back into them, that was the time to get bullish on Bitcoin. You can see the EMA has a massive cross above the SMA, and this is when you go on the next leg up to the upside on the BTC USD price. Well, what could we expect happening now on Bitcoin? Personally, I've been talking about how I think that Bitcoin is going to come down all the way down to 22,000. I'm going to clear up this chart just to make things a little bit more clean. But what I think is going to be going on for the next bear market low is I think we're going to be coming down to 22,000. And if I highlight why, you can see we have the 200-week moving average. Now, I don't want to spend too long on the 200-week because I really want to make this video about the bull market support bands, but why I think the 200-week is such a good area to target as the bear market low is because this was the bear market low in 2018. This was the bear market low in terms of the candle body close on the weekly back in the March 2020 capitulation. You zoom back and you can see this was also the bear market low in terms of the candle body close, not in terms of wicks, because just like in this mass capitulation over here, we did manage to wick below them, and this is where the 300 week comes in. And I'm not gonna bring in the 300 week. I barely want to spend much time on the 200 week, but I just want to let you know this is the reason why I'm targeting the 200 week. This is the reason why I think Bitcoin is coming down to 22,000. With that said, what I think is going to be happening for a plethora of reasons that I've highlighted on my channel, the Fed is talking about increasing the interest rates. So if we do have this final capitulation where we do come down to 22,000, what I think we're going to do is just like we did every single time. I didn't mean to draw another low on there. I think we're going to be doing something like this. I think the bull market support bands are going to come down into the price, and I think the moment that they intersect is the moment to get bullish. Why do I think the moment that they intersect is the time to get bullish? Well, what happened the last time they intersected on the technically coming into March of 2019 is when they intersected. What you'll notice is as they intersected in March 2019, it wasn't the exact bear market low that we put in December of 2018, but as soon as you came into the bull market support band after your accumulation range, or more specifically once the bull market support band came down to your accumulation range, that is when the bottom was in. Once again, we look at the bull market support bands because these basically define what is going on in the market. They tell us, are we bullish, are we bearish? And typically speaking, it's a great chart to look at if you're an altcoin investor because, like I said, typically speaking, when your exponential moving average, which is this green line, is above the simple moving average, which is this red line, what you'll notice is the altcoins actually massively perform. And this is what we saw from Bitcoin bottoming or Bitcoin crossing round about 8,000 when it went on its massive run up to 69,000 or subsequently 65,000 previously. I meant 65 and then subsequently 69. But yeah, that's basically it. What I think is going to be going on is I do think we are setting up for this last cross where I do unfortunately think that the exponential moving average is going to cross below the SMA, and as it has done previously, this is, the final capitulation zone as you cross below. I mean, this one was very, very black and white. Once the exponential crossed below the simple moving average was the moment where you had your last capitulation. And going back, you can really see that these bull market support bands perfectly define whether Bitcoin is in a bull or a bear market. Sometimes we can have flips above the bull market support bands even if we are in a bear market, but typically speaking, we cross these, we come back to back test, we make a lower high, we break down. Once again, you break above, you back test them, you make a lower high, you break down. What happens once you break above them and you back test them and then you start pushing up and you make a higher high? That is when the bull market support band is confirmed as support, and that is typically when you're about to enter a massive run on Bitcoin. And you can see it, as far as this chart goes back, the exponential moving average crosses the simple moving average and you're in for a big run to the upside. So hope you found some value in this video. I'm really not going to be running into Bitcoin, running into altcoins at this moment in time. I think it's very, very important that we look at the data that we've got on the markets. We recognize that at this moment in time, the charts are pretty bearish, and if we are going to be setting up for this last capitulation where the EMA crosses below the SMA, then we could be expecting one last flush out before the markets recover. So that's all I've got for you today. As always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.